Well, hello everyone. Thank you for watching this special episode. We have a wonderful composer, violinist, singer-songwriter, chamber music performer, and conductor. And her name is, I believe your first name is pronounced An
Right,
Vedi.
right.
An
Hello, everyone.
Vedi. An Vedi. And she's released 3 solo albums and released 8 singles. And her music's played in the USA, UK, Europe, and also she's received several awards, laureate and jury member of international music recognition, balloted for the Grammys, yay! And a multi-award winning artist. And her roles as a producer and music educator, we will talk about that later. So, Anne, could you please give us what inspires you in your compositions, and how do you approach the creative process? Like, before we answer that, can you give us a little bit of an idea? Whatever got you into music, playing the violin, becoming a conductor? Can you go and start from the beginning?
Well, it's at first it's a long story, and it's a long life living because I am on the stage for about more than 25 years. That's a quarter of the century. I feel a little bit old at this position, but uh, when I grew up when I grew up with this, things like I touch the music every day, I play the music every day, I learn new music every day. It's like growing up in a specific world that brings you to you know more close to the nature, to the universe, something like this. And when I was 4 years old, uh, I just asked my parents, would you please buy me a violin? Well, since they are not musicians, they didn't notice my my request, um, specifically. But I started to tell them about these things more and more, and eventually I got entered to the musical school and then to the professional musical school at the conservatory or on Moscow Conservatory. And it was a real luck to get into the class of David Oistrak's students. I was a student of Victor Pekaisen and David. It's a David Oistrakh uh, student and Edward Grudge, and I really loved what I did. But besides the violin, I started to compose music. Well, it was like something like Mozart or Beethoven in their early ages. But I kept going and did more things. But when I entered the conservatory, I got into the class of composition too, and my professor said, "Well, it's really well done, but let's focus on contemporary music. It's like Kubaidulina, Shostakovich, Ligeti. It's some sort of things of like academical modern music." And it really helped me to figure out more things regarding to my violin performance. And then I eventually started to write songs. Here we are. And I started to uh, even do releases of my songs, even albums, because I have a wonderful, Kiss, like in Sonic, it's all American firm that created super, super modern at that time keys for composers, producers to create a, for movies, for even pop music. And I did some albums, some music, several albums this way. Uh, and you know, I had activities like a violinist, a composer, and songwriter. And then my fate brings me to another stage of my, life or career. I don't know how to say exactly. Well, I worked as a soloist at the few philharmonics for several years, and I continued to write music, academical music, for orchestras, for chamber ensembles, for choirs, for different instruments of the orchestra, and continue write songs. And eventually, I was accepted into the Recording Academy, which is a huge step in my career because it's, first of all, it's a great place for collaboration between musicians from different countries. I don't even have to travel to create a new song or a new album. So now, for example, collaborate with some producers and composers from different countries, and we are working on singles and albums that we are going to submit to Grammys this year. And I have my own songs too. So I keep going. And one more thing is conducting. It's something new in my life, and it brings me to another level of understanding humanity, human movement, how the human body reacts to different things like musical scores, phrases, and it's a kind of directing the nature of sound, and it's very interesting for me. So it's like quite a long story, as said, but it looks like this.
That's amazing. What do you find is the most complicated part about songwriting? Is it the composing? Is it the music notes? And putting everything together, for instance, your song, well, I mean, many of them, like Golden Days by Arthur Sullivan, Lionel H. Lewin. Let's talk about the composing. When you compose music, what would you consider to be most difficult part of it?
Well, first of all, we need to create whenever it happens, whatever we are, and despite all the things that happens in the world, in our families, in our lives, we need to keep going. That's what musical artists do. This is the huge, circle of composing and songwriting life. The next level is how to focus on specific things, like to whom you want to perform or sing the particular work or song. It is some kind of humanity in a huge thing, like philosophical ideas, or it's a group of people of certain ages or certain, professions, or something like this. And the third thing is a technical thing. It's how professional you are at what you do. It's regarding to lyrics. Do they like an amateur or too naive, or it's idea, or is a story that we put in 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. The same thing with the works for instrumental music, for orchestra. We need to create a story without words. It's much complicated than song, where we have verbal impression. We have a communication to specific language auditory, and it's more complicated. I repeat myself. And what about particular songs? It's like a spark in our nervous system. I guess it sounds so scientifically, but it is what it is. It's a spark in our nervous system, some kind of like our ideas, our feelings, or experience just get straight to one point, and we heard this a melody, we heard chords, we heard how we can structure this song, verses, bridges, choruses, and intro, outros, how we can organize this place of our story. It's literally science of creating, and it's why we have so many genres of songs, because people are different, and their understanding of this creation process and how to bring our feelings or ideas to another people, it has different ways.
Yeah.
Something like this.
Yeah. I'm thinking, like, we had a conductor on our program before, and I asked him, how do you conduct a symphony? And he showed me with a conductor's baton. And I'm thinking, when you conduct a symphony, let's say the symphony is a Christina Aguilera song. There's no lyrics in that one. So you have to conduct that song hurt, and it sounds beautiful in a symphony. How do you go about starting to learn how to conduct that? Because there's no lyrics, there's no words, it's just music. It's just symphony. Everyone, and if anybody has never heard Hurt by Christina Aguilera, they think it's a beautiful symphony done by Mozart or something. How do you start to manifest that?
Okay, well, it's interesting example, because every conductor, when he takes a score, he's like it's like a firstborn child, because we don't know what to do with this. It happens mostly when we take modern scores of modern composers that never sounded before, nobody heard them, and we need to find cues, specific expression, to shape a form of performance with different instruments, with a lot of people, to make globally, to make the listeners happy. And with this thing like it looks like pop music or something like mainstream, comparing to modern music of academical line, or late classical music or romantic music. Well, we just need to use the same thing. Just first of all, analyze what we see. It took hours for us. We need to learn harmony, solfeggio, theory of music. We need to know how to play different instruments. because especially I played not just violin, but also a few other instruments. Well, at least know how to performers create sound. For example, wind instruments. It takes different types of technique for all the wind instruments, and the conductor should know everything, you know, every point of view. Just be the like-minded to orchestra players. And the same thing, we found the cues. We need to like to, to feel the melody, to feel the harmony of the song or musical piece with no words, and keep going with this. We don't need to. We don't stop when we conduct, even if a musician made a mistake in orchestra at Heaven's Lot. We need to learn the score with our head, memory performance, and yeah, it is a huge work, and it not just like I feel something and I do something. It's a huge structured process, and I think I'm learning a lot of things like this time, and I really liked it. It's so deep diving into something new in musical world.
Yeah, I can imagine being actually a member of the just be a performer or something, and then you have a conductor like you in front of me, and you go like this, and I'm supposed to know what that means, or like this,
Yeah.
or like this, and I'm supposed to know that, and it's pretty difficult to follow along. But it takes practice. I mean, with you to conduct a symphony or whatever pop music, it's very taxing on your mental health. And you have to figure out what you have to do with your mental health, how to keep yourself sane, so you're not like, you to the point where you just throw the baton away and walk away
Mhm.
from the symphony. So how do you manage that you don't go crazy?
Well, every musician is a little crazier than other people. Like every artist, like every outstated scientist, because to create something, we need to, something like jump up from our ordinary life or ordinary style of living. But this has no things with schizophrenia like like this, because we always go back to our simple life, to our routines and ordinary life things. Well, about how to manage these things, like conductor should be ahead of music. He brings his upbeats milliseconds before it happens, and it's different because orchestras are like people community. Well, the simple example of how to people react, like this gesture means yes and this gesture means no, but not for all cultures. Something like other people thinks this gesture means no, and it's
Wow.
all about the conducting and how to operate this factory of music. Well, first of all, we need to learn the background of the particular music community, the story of the orchestra, who worked with the orchestra, what country is it, what the region is it, well, how musicians educated well, or this advanced amateur musicians, or this youth orchestra. And we need to adjust our gestures and our communicative skills to find way to for better communication with musicians. That's how we can make easy way to connect with them and to transfer our interpretation to them, and actually help them if they have technical issues or ensemble issues or something like this. Yeah, we're scientists at first, and then we are psychologists, because we need to scan what people think, what they feel, what mood they are in, and how we can work with this. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought your song composition and concerto, Voices of Angels, which you performed in London, I love that. How did you manage to put that together? Like, what's the story behind that one?
Okay. Well, first of all, I need to correct you. I didn't perform at the concert. I composed the concerts, and this was performed by an amazing violinist, the alumni of Royal Academy of Music, Ada Witchik. And I was one of three winning composers. They had more than 30 scores around the globe. This they submitted, and I made it to top three. Well, the story is I just found the information about this call for scores, this competition, and I was really inspired because I loved the Baroque music. I love the sound and feelings what the Baroque music playing brings to my heart or soul or mind. I don't know, and I wanted to create something like this. Well, it's not like I was stuck at something, but I listened to their recordings. This ensemble is great performances, and I thought, why not? And I composed this concerto in like, I don't know, 2 or 3 days,
Wow.
and sent them a score. And I didn't know nothing. Okay, what happens then? What happens? And they chose my concerto, and I was very lucky because it was dream come true. And Adi is a wonderful violinist, and Nick is a wonderful conductor. So the idea of this concert, it was like my reminiscences from when I visited Buchenwald 8 years ago. I was in Germany at concerts and visited Buchenwald, and I walked on those alleys. It was a difficult feeling because there are some, written things like there was a house where were Jews. There was a house where were Polish people, like Russian people. It really brings weird feelings. But I was with my violin time, and I thought, well, why not? I just opened my case and I started to play Bach's Chaconne. And I didn't mean anything, but some people get it. They started to listen because it was like in a desert, and it was autumn. Like I was in a warm coat, but it actually, brings some tears on someone's faces. Well, it was a difficult experience, but I felt the time that I should perform Bach's music at this place at this time. And when I composed this concert, I just tried to restore this remembrances, and I dedicated this concert to children's who died in camps, because there were a lot of children. This children is our creature that no one protects except God. I think like this, because we are adults can stand up for ourselves, do something with people, and children are not. And despite this is a huge sad background behind this concerto, I think I did full of light music, because it's every time when something happens, there is a huge hope for a bright future ahead. Something like this.
Yeah. What role does improvisation play in your compositions?
Sorry, may I repeat, please?
What role does improvisation play in your compositions? Like you have to
Improvisation.
improvise.
Yeah, sure. Improvisation. Well, technically, every melody, every chord progression that comes to composer's mind is a improvisation. The next step is we write down it in a score or a simple notation. And the next and most difficult thing is to edit our things, or how to edit our feelings that we are shaped into a melody. It's ridiculous, but we need to do this because it's about communication too, like conducting gestures. The gesture of our verbal communication and musical communication throughout the song, it's how people can understand what we are talking about. And yes, as I said, we need to think to whom we sing or to whom we make this song. We need to shape the form, and improvisation is just the beginning, just the initial process of creating. Well, I don't mean genres like jazz or something like this, because it's a specific type of improvisation. We often call this prepared improvisation, because it's several types of how to play, how to structure a specific jazz score or something like this. It has very different types, or we just choose something we already rehearsed. But in applying to back again to your question, and applying to composing music, it's the initial process that we need to initiate. Sorry, the same word. We initiate this initial process of improvisation in our minds, and we run down, then edit, and then bring it to the audience. That's how it is worked.
Wow, I like that answer. What do you think is the most quickest one that you have written? Like with a composition, what do you think is the quickest one you've written? And let's go with this one. What's the most longest amount of time it took for you to complete a symphony, complete a piece of music?
Well, I actually don't like works long. It has nothing with my preference is life. But I think when I catch this, as I said, nervous spark or nervous system, the how I long keep this spark lighting in my mind, I need to finish the work. Well, I have time, always have time to do some, kind of edits, like change one note page to another, to make more or less pauses, to rearrange some things. But when I feel I'm in this process, I have nothing aside of it. I don't eat. I don't sleep. Well, I'm all of myself in this process right now, and the longest was like a week, a week, or less.
Wow.
Well, the concert, I said, it was just 2 or 3 days to complete the score.
Wow, I can see how great and professional you are. I mean, you're a winner of 50 international awards. You are the youngest recipient of the Edgar Elgar Medal. You graduate
Yeah.
conservatory. Like, you've been doing this for 25 years, but I actually find that very admirable. I mean, I wish I had pursued music myself, but to sit there and do every like note and composition and like, I mean, I'm a big classical music fan. I love Mozart, Chopin. I've gotten to the point where I can listen to a piece of symphony or music and think, oh, that's Mozart. Or, oh, that's Chopin. Wait, that's Prokofiev. Yeah, that's Prokofiev, because I love it so much. But to sit there and just write this stuff, it's amazing. Now, not only are you very well versed and able to create these beautiful compositions like Voices of Angels and putting all that together, like how like what drew you to the violin? Like how has your relationship with the instrument evolved over the years?
Yeah, it's naturally that a lot of my music is the violin music for violin, or with participation of this instrument, like chamber music. Well, at the same time, I'm not fully attached to the instrument, because for composer, it's a little bit unprofessional to think, on a shelf of a particular instrument. We don't have people like Vivaldi, at this word, sadly. Um, at the same time, he was a fantastic composer, and conductor and educator. His story. And I think it's a two-side process. How I learn instruments, because I always play, like all the instruments which has a story, which has previous players specific, wood memory of past decades, and it educates me too. How it must sound ridiculous, but the violin teaches me too. Then I teach how to grab the sound from the instruments and how bring it from the holes. And regarding to the composition, to the process of composition, yeah, it connected to improvisation. Because often, if it comes to solo violin works, like with no instruments, it's more likely I first improvised these works, then I made edits and shaped it into the specific form, specific works. And what is about other side of composition process, yeah, I need to learn all the instruments because it would be unprofessional not to do this. But violin is a fantastic instrument, for both composers and conductors too, because famous conductor Liamusin said that conductor should know how to play strings, likely violin. Why did he say this? Because it's a difficult instrument to learn. It's popular but difficult. Why difficult? Because we don't have a key, yeah, where every note has its own place on the
Mm-hmm.
show. Well, we have just strings, no marks, and we need to grab this thing and the bow and just do something with this and not to distract our parents or neighbors a lot with the awkward sounds. Well, that's why this initial process of studying learning the violin, it may took years or decades. Well, yeah, and I think it's a real luck, as I said, when I was a student of David Oistrak's pupils, and it's specific, wow, that's a story, that's a sample of how the violin should sound. Yeah, the how I should play. I play differently, especially because I'm an artist and I should do something like myself too. But the quality of tone, the things like strokes, how to analyze violin music, how to bring it to the audience. It's a huge conversation for for a separate interview or something like this. But back to the composition. I didn't compose for violin for a long time. Uh, for I started at 4 with violin, and till like 20s, I did not so much like in my violin repertoire. I just have a few pieces I composed, and I often play it at my concerts. Well, it was not just like something like okay, I did this. I just included this in my programs with classical music, and when I was 20s, it was more difficult time for me, and I learned a lot. And it was the time that my first serious composition came out. And again, it's a particular long story too.
Yeah, I know that the violin, that's usually called the fiddle, it's a wooden chordophone. I don't know if you've ever heard that before. And it's the smallest, highest pitched instrument, and it's a soprano in regular use. Now I'm going to tell you this one. A smaller violin type instrument exists, including the violino piccolo and the pochette. You understand
Yeah,
those? But most violins have a hollow wooden body, as we know, and commonly have 4 strings, sometimes 5, and they're perfect fifths with notes G3, D4, A4, and E5. And also, the violin can also be played by plucking the strings with the fingers called pizzicato.
right.
And in specialized cases, by striking the strings with the wooden side of the bow called the collegno. I'm learning a lot
Yeah.
about violin because we had another violinist by the name of Nikki Nagavi on our podcast. And I had the one who does the violin podcast. You should go check him out, Violin Podcast. We interviewed him. Also, we had our own Canadian Natalie McMaster, who's also a violinist. And I want to, like, when I'm thinking of violinist, I'm thinking of Andre Rieu, who's also a conductor, but he's also a violinist. And whenever he, I don't know if you've seen him, but whenever he conducts, he has a violin with him. So
Yeah,
it's like doing this, and then he goes like this. I'm like, how do you do that? That's why I love violinists, because they know their craft, they know the work, and I'm just so. That's why I love violinists, because just the way they play. I've always loved listening to violin music, and it's one of the great. But like, I want to, okay, for yourself. I know Andre Rieu. I'm like, if I ever have one on the podcast, I would ask him this question, but I'm going to ask you: how do you prepare for violin performance?
well, first of all, learn the program. Yeah, and learn which house, which audience do you will perform for. Because I love to perform, particularly solo or chamber concerts. Why? Because the type of solo, solo, just one performer, or chamber music, it's some kind of warm chamber atmosphere with the audience. No sound, just like violin and piano or to cello, and I can bring my ideas. They can hear my performance, how I shaped this, what I did with these phrases. And yeah, I love concertos because concertos for violin are the most difficult things, and I also often perform this with different orchestras. But specifically, I love chamber music. And how can I manage to work with the pianist or organist? How can I repeat myself again? How can I shape, the dramaturgically my concerts? Because if it's a solo recital, I always talk about the composers, the works I perform, to prepare the audience for better listening of this music. And it's not like, yeah, you fool people, you don't know anything. I'm a wise person and I bring my thoughts to you. No. It's because I love the music I perform, such as I want to do audience love this music too, as I am. And that's why I tell stories about the composer, about particular years when he composed this piece. Well, it might be stories if it's modern composers, how I met them, how we spend time together, how if it's people who are living now. Mm, it's also some kind of entertainment for the audience. Mm, some kind of like pop artists do, like conversation between songs, but it's a classical music still. Well, it's again, it's a huge preparation process. Learn the program, learn the audience in space where we will perform, learn what to say to the audience, how to manage things on the stage, on stage, on the stage, like how you know how we need to open the piano desk for a particular piece to balance the sound with the violin. Mm, even how to place the cameras if we film this. A lot of things to do.
Yeah. What is it about chamber music that you enjoy performing so much?
Chamber music. Well, I have to say, I didn't like all chamber music written for violin uh, because not every piece can touch strings of mine or of audience. Well, my huge music love is actually Edward Elgar. That's how it happened. I listened to his chamber music, sonata, quartet, and a few pieces. Mm, and we had no scores, no notes in Russia of his music, just concerto and a few pieces. And I performed those pieces at a particular recital, and there was, like a group of Englishmen.
Hmm.
They just filmed something, took photos, and left. And just I gave them my email, and they left. Time passed, and eventually I received an email from the Elgar Society,
Hmm.
and they wrote to me, and I then I received a few parcels of notes we didn't have here. It was like, oh my god, what happened? Am I in history? Yes, I'm in a history, music history of Elgar performances in the world, and I actually did like 15 local premieres of his music that never performed in Russia. Uh, and I shared most of these performances. And I received the certificate. It's behind on the wall. Um, the certificate in 2012 year, signed by Lloyd Webber, the son of Lloyd Webber. He was the president of the society. And then I started as I can, as I could do, to add to my recitals or to make whole recitals dedicated to Elgar's music. I performed with orchestra, with pianist, whatever I had the opportunity. At a conservatory, at different halls. And in 2019, I was invited to Manchester to make a recital with wonderful musician, Perry Collett. May his soul rest in peace. Uh, he was a pianist and Elgar Medal recipient. And he is also a musicologist and conductor. We had a lot of conversations via internet, and I finally visited England for the first time. And when we finished our last piece at the concert, there was a lot of applauses, and Stewart, the current vice president at this time of the Elgar Society, just went on the stage, and I see and think, oh my God, what happened? What is happening? He just show some box, a box, and he opens it, and at the same time telling something to the auditor that he thanks me to this concert in St. Bar, and said, well, we want to award me with the medal. It was like, oh my God, am I with Barenboim? Am I with line with the Ashkenazi? Sir Colin Davis, a lot of people. Well, it was like, yeah, I'm still the youngest recipient, and the one in Russia, and the one is neighborhood countries. And it really makes sense because I'm still keep going with the Elgar music, and also as a conductor too. I'll have a few concerts next season as a conductor, where I will also conduct Elgar's music and perform violin music by Elgar. It's we went from what chamber music I love to know some things like what will happen in 2025.
Oh, excellent. So, who would you consider to be your favorite composer? I mean, you did mention somebody, but who else do you like?
Yeah, still Johann Sebastian Bach, because it's a musical figure that is a symbol of Baroque music. And I think it's Baroque, but it still sound modern. His ideas, how he was drawn to the process. He had a lot of issues, family issues. No money, no time. He worked instantly. What he created a lot of works that brights, still brights, and that's a fact. He composed music in every genre, except opera. It's just fascinating. Well,
Wow.
yeah, I love music by Russian composers like Glinka, one of my favorite composers, especially Mussorgsky, Tchaikovsky. Uh, People from 20th century, I have a few name to tell. And contemporary music I love also, because I'm counting a lot of works which were written especially for me by different composers, and that's why I like them, because people thought of my performances of me as an artist, and they put their ideas and their thoughts to the piece I perform. That's why I love them. Well, you can find it is my in my previous releases last year and other years. Uh, what's more, you know, every day I learn music, I learn new music, new scores, especially as a conductor, and who knows what names I can tell today the composers of music. Which
Well, you might know this violinist by the name of Aram Malikian. He does a really
yeah,
good rendition of Palladio Concerto Grosso. That's a nice one. And also, yeah, I'm into most of the violinists and listen to them intently. Andre Rieu, and as I mentioned, and it's just amazing. I just think it's amazing. Also, I know all violinists clean their violins using rosin. Do you use rosin quite a lot?
yeah, sure. I have a few, items of rosin from different kinds, from Europe manufacturers, from American manufacturers. Well, it's important thing in violin performance, which rosin you to use, because the point where the bow, uh, the horse hair touch the string is the quality of rosin. You know, the pianist just touch keys with his hands, his fingers, just about how then his nails were trimmed and how he practiced last day. But with violin, it's a lot of, just not me and the instrument. It's the quality of strings. It's weather. It's a humidity. It's a rosin. It's anything we need to deal with. It's like again we born every day like a first time, and we open our cases and we don't know what waits for us in there. Well, we just you know swim on this wave. We can prepare, we can do where we want to prevent some issues, but we never know what happens next day when we open the case and start playing violin. And the rosin is a really important thing in this process, right?
What do you think of those violinists that when they're playing and they have strings all over the place and messed up? And are they pressing the bow too hard in order for that to happen?
Yeah, well, they just learn how to operate this factory called violin. Because violin is not just violin, it's a bow string instrument. And how to hold bow, how to uh, manage him. It's a different art of doing the music on violin, because you can have the perfect left hand technique. You can know where every note, every pitch is on the board, but when something happens with the right hand technique, it always a huge struggle, because as it said, I now learn the Alexander technique. You may heard of this. As Alexander said about a lot about habits. Well, especially if the child or adult who plays the violin is right-handed, the right hand is the hand we do almost everything in our life, and it's a lot about habits and bow art, playing violin. It's like an operatic orchestra. As a conductor, we need to, if we need to improve our technique, we need to jump out of our habits or bad habits as quickly as possible and just follow the instructor's rules. And the pressure, as you mentioned, that performers put into the bow, it might be from the psychology, because it's a fear. It's a fear that we can lose our bow, or it can drop down from our hand. It's most likely when the child just grab mother's hand, not to lose the connection to the world. And it just takes time to be free from these bad habits. At this time, it's a good sign that the performer has, not just issues, but also a potential. Because if he puts pressure on the bow, he or she has some strength in his hands, which means he can make big, huge sounds, which is very important too. Not just thin sound like a little mouse something peeps in the whole. Just keep going and find a good instructor.
I know. I love this group called Bond. It contains 3 girls, but what's special about them is they don't use traditional violins. They're made of like crystal and plexiglass, and
Yeah.
it doesn't even look like a violin. It looks like just a thing that looks like a weird looking shape, but it makes such a. I think it's an electronic violin actually, but it still makes some great music. What do you think of those? Do you think a violinist should stick with the traditional wooden violin, or are they okay to go with violins that are made of like guitar boxes or something, like, or shoe boxes or whatever?
Okay, I actually have likely type of this violin, not crystal, but 6-stringed violin, which sounds like viola, and plus 1 string that can sound like a cello. And you can find the single violin monster on my listening platforms, on iTunes and Spotify. That's the piece I composed on this violin. It was a time when I explored things, and I still do some things with this. But it is also, it's all about what musicians want to do. If he wants to impress him or herself as a super contemporary artist, like I have, I don't have nothing to do with simple instruments. I need some images of the future, like in some kind of movies. Or the musician wants to appeal to, again, to whom he performed to. It's an audience that love Mozart, Bach, and composers of the past. Or it's a moving audience that may like rock music, old stuff, and at the same time they love popular classical music. or they totally freak out of classical music and can't hear this and just listen to some modern stuff. It's all about the choice. But yes, I admit this. A lot of artists do great job involving classical instruments to the pop music, like cellists, violinists, yeah, and a lot of piano players who made like covers or their own music. Also sitting at the crystal pianos. Yeah, I think that's about the choice and now the place we're living, because no place there is no particular place that requires appealing to tradition or breakthrough in, because if we have particular talent to do some things, we always find the audience and we always find ways to bring our music to the audience, despite it gives us a lot of money or just like pennies. We need to keep going, because I believe uh, we have a universal director who who knows uh, what do we have ahead. Yeah, that's a philosophical story.
I know that my God knows all the classical music, knows how to play all the instruments in the world. So he's the like the universal composer right there that I know. You were mentioning the cello, so your violin sounds like a cello. Am I assuming that you can play the cello as well?
Well, no,
Oh
I
wow.
know how to play, because, as I mentioned, composers, conductors should know how musicians play, the technology, the posture of every instrumental playing. But no, it's a particular art. It's a particular story that begins from the childhood, and I'm all in violin. I love piano. I did a very difficult piano repertoire at school at the conservatory, which pianist plays Shostakovich, Chopin, difficult Bach's works, Mozart sonatas. I just loved it. I felt I need to do this because violin playing, it's a dangerous thing too, because violinists often stand and this posture is doesn't feel like something harmonically built. Not just piano players have some points where our gravitation touches our body. Yes, this sits, always this sits, and pianist's hands are placed, like more naturally, more
But
naturally than
I know violin, you're like,
violins.
all
Yeah,
you do is you're taking the violin, you're going like this and going like this. So why would it be that difficult? So from this to this, I don't understand why it would be so difficult.
yeah, it's not difficult. It's different. Because what is cello? It's a big violin. You will learn those dimensions on the board of violin, and this must be really tiny, little tiny dimensions, especially in high positions. Well, they not compare it to cello's positions at all,
Hmm.
and we can and I'll break through from the cello's timbre, like it's more huge, loud, and really great. But it's about habit too, as Alexander said. The habit of tiny positions on the violin, it mostly compared to guitar positions. Yeah, or smaller instruments of the plucked string plucked group like mandolin, banjo,
Hmm.
or folk instruments of different countries, but not compared to cello, and especially to double bass, which is like mastodons just playing, or or octobus, which Wagner used in his operas. It's a huge, just like two or three double basses instruments. It takes at least two people to play on this. Well, habits are difficult in these things, and I heard some violinists also play cellos, but if it's also such professional as that play violin, it is such a thing that they can they that they can play cello and bring same emotions to the people. If they good at violin, they I guess they cannot be that good at cello. That's a psychology, that's a physiology, and that's habits.
Yeah, I know that a lot of singers and vocalists can't sing opera, but a lot of operas, people who sopranos and mezzo sopranos and tenors can sing regular stuff. So I'm thinking, if you can't translate a violin into a cello, is it possible that when you are a professional cellist that you can translate that into a violin, or is it the same concept?
Yeah, I think that's the same concept, because if you play every day like this on cello, right, and specific positions and postures, it's difficult to move to tiny positions.
That's
But
amazing.
still, violin is the instrument more difficult than cello because of these tiny positions too.
That that's
And yeah,
that's yeah. I actually want to learn the violin, but I'm afraid that when I'm in my house playing, I'm like, "Ee, ee, ee," someone goes, "Who's killing a cat in here?" When I
yeah,
first
just
start out,
yeah, call the cops soon.
yeah, and then like just to be able to go, do 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 do, I love it. So everyone, all of Anne's information will be linked down below, including your YouTube channel, and you should check on this one called Starless Nocturne, and also Arthur Sullivan, Lionel H. Lewin's Her Golden Days, performed by An Vedi, is excellent. And also, I can't even pronounce that, but uh, another one that you should actually, I'll just link it out down below. And if you need to connect with her, there's information there, and I'll give you her website. I'd like to ask you, what advice would you give to aspiring musicians trying to navigate the current music landscape? Like, for instance, Ms. Vedi, and I want to learn the violin. How do I start? Is there one particular I need to get? Do I get one made of balsa wood? What?
Well, it's never late to start. It all depends on what do you want to do with this. Uh, the same thing is just like in sports, in particular sports. Mm, what are our goals in this? We just want to keep our bodies in shape, or we need to, spend time differently than or simple routine. or we want to express ourselves through this and achieve some more big goals. Well, it's all also depends on the age, on the background that a particular uh, man or woman has, and it's really never late to start. Just find a good instructor, check their background, their education, their experience, and navigate their teachers. Because, as I said at the beginning of our conversation, it must be a big luck to find a teacher that which musical path was connected to big artists of the past. It's not that simple. I think I believe even believe every musician has to find his teacher. Despite I explored a lot of schools, a lot of ways. I took masterclass with a lot of famous violinists and musicians, just to find some unique approach on how to work on music, how to play violin. It's not like I'm collecting some things like a child brings a lot of stones from the wall at home. I just do my own picture of this particular profession, of this occupation I'm doing. That's why I'm exploring a lot American conducting school, and I actually attend Juilliard extension with Maestro Shapiro. He's you know a brilliant at what he does as a conductor and a teacher too. And back to violinists, find instructor, ask him or her what particular advices, how to find an instrument, because I believe the instrument has to be a good quality. Because I mentioned this, I learned from the violin I play. Not just that I learned how to play strokes, how to pitch correctly, how to make sound, and I learned from the violin. That's why I think it must be old violin. How old? Depends on the situation. Depends on how to get this instrument, loan or to buy it. Even if the child or an adult man and woman want to play the violin, whatever they want to do, just spend time or put some goals, some professional goals into this. The instrument must be a good quality. Yeah.
I'll have to consider those when I start trying to learn the violin. And if I did get a violin, I wouldn't even practice in my own place. I would go and practice where you're supposed to in the actual studios there, because it's different when you're playing the violin, learning to play. You want to make sure you do it properly, so you don't want to be playing and worried if the guy upstairs is going to complain that I'm got the squeaky noise coming, so stuff like that. But we really appreciate this, and everyone. An Vedi, composer, violinist, singer-songwriter, chamber music performer, conductor, and just check out everything down below. Thank you, Anne, for appearing on our podcast. Just wait one moment. Okay, everyone. See you, Anne.
Thank you very much for inviting Chris.
Hold on right there.